I'm Zachary Colby, and this is Paul Schultz, and we are tenors in Cantus, which is a vocal ensemble based in the Twin Cities. Cantus started around 1995.
That's right.
At St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, with 4 gentlemen who wanted to pursue singing in a tenor-tenor baritone bass ensemble past their first year. And so they kind of came up with the idea they would just kind of do this as a hobby. And
they got together, the 4 of them, and then they added 3 more members in their second year to sing Bebel's Ave Maria, a piece we probably all know. And then they kept adding members until they eventually got up to 12 members at their most. And we've been paring down to 8 since. And in about 2001, Cantus became a full-time professional nonprofit organization. And so we're approaching our 25th year in a couple years here. And this is my 3rd year in Cantus, and this is Zach's 4th year. So I was born in Wisconsin. I grew up in northeast Iowa, in Waverly, Iowa. And then I was singing out in New York City. And I auditioned for Cantus. I'd always known about Cantus growing up. My high school choir director played some of their recordings for us. Dulamon, I remember fondly. A classic and a favorite with us now. But I auditioned and got to come to the live audition day, which was really a lot of fun. Got to meet the guys, and I was lucky enough to be chosen. So then my wife and I moved back here to Minneapolis, and I've been singing here ever since.
I'm from northwestern Indiana, just outside of Chicagoland, and I studied music education in my undergrad, and then I moved to Minneapolis for graduate school, so I have a master's and a doctorate in voice from the University of Minnesota, and I was supposed to be, in opera stuff, and then that just kind of didn't happen, and I ended up getting into Cantus right out of grad school, and got to stay here in the Twin Cities, so I feel really lucky that I've been able to kind of learn and create in sort of a similar space.
So when we seek auditionees for Cantus, every year we solicit for auditions, and around beginning of January, folks submit electronic materials. So we require 3 arias or art songs. So 1 in a foreign language, 1 that's in a contrasting style. So maybe jazz and musical theater, and then something else that they want to show us. In addition to that, we ask for various vocalists to see kind of how they navigate different parts of their range. And then, most importantly to me, but we all have the kind of different things we look for, is the resume and the cover letter. Because the special thing about Cantus is that we all make up the artistic director, and so there's a lot of work that we do in addition to singing, artistic work and administrative work. So it's important to figure out how everyone is as a thinker and a problem solver. So then they all come. We invite 8 or 9 people to come to Minneapolis to sing live for us. We interview them, spend the whole day with them, and once we find out whether anyone is moving on from the ensemble, we'll extend invitations. We're all singer artistic directors, and so I'm a tenor with Cantus. In addition to my duties as a tenor, I serve on the artistic council in the position of the communications facilitator. So I'm kind of the communications lead for the ensemble. I contract outside groups when we collaborate, and I do all any communication that comes in that an artist needs to respond to. That's me. I'm also the first call for media interviews. In addition to that, I also serve on the board of directors. There's 2 singers who are on the board, so I keep very busy.
I am also a tenor, and that's sort of my main job. And in addition to just singing, we're also programming concerts and lining up collaborating. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do as artists, as the artistic director, part of our job. But my administrative job is operations, and so I am in charge of getting venues together for our home concert series. I manage some of our grant work. I just grab the things that seem to fall through the cracks. But in addition to all of our 2 positions, we also have someone who's in charge of social media. We also have someone who's a program facilitator, and they make sure that our programs are getting to our managers and getting out to the right people at the right times. We have someone who's in charge of graphic design, tour manager, librarian. There's lots of different facets. But we all work together to kind of make the machine run, as well as our our staff,
Yeah.
who is stationed here in the Twin Cities, who helps us a lot. Cantus is a managed ensemble. We have managers based out of New York City, Alliance Artist Management, and Cantus, when they first began, they were looking for a summer gig, and so they basically toured the East Coast in a giant van that had like Nintendo 64 hooked up. I think I can remember the story correctly because I wasn't there. Neither were you. But they were basically discovered in the course of giving all of these concerts, and contacted to have management. And so, in collaboration with the state of Minnesota being such a powerful state arts board, it made sense for them to be both a nonprofit organization based here and have a home audience here, as well as a managed group that tours both nationally and internationally.
Yeah. And so our touring, national touring, makes up about a quarter of our budget. So really, the bulk of the work that we do is right here at home in Minnesota, which we love. We're really fortunate to have that strong of a base here, for sure. Our footprint here in Minnesota, we do about 35 shows here locally in the Twin Cities and in the suburbs. We do 4 or 5 different programs every year that folks can come and see. And then we also tour around the state periodically, and that's dependent on funding that we get from the state government, State Arts Board, which we've been fortunate to really get many years. So most years we're out and we tour different regions of the state, but that's really a lot of fun for us. We love kind of going deeper into our Minnesota roots here.
And it gives us flexibility as artists to also create new kinds of concert series.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at Cantus, you see men's or tenor, bass, baritone singing, and you think, okay, well, it must be a lot of spirituals or it must be a lot of certain repertoire. But we actually have the opportunity to branch out, and our home audience is so supportive that we do a covers program every June. We've recently started a new program that is a lot of solo singing and art song, and features us as soloists, as singers. And so it's an exciting opportunity that we get to have such a home base here, because it allows us to flourish and grow as artists.
So one of the really fun things about Cantus, and what I think brought a lot of us to the group, is that there is really no Cantus sound. And the group is made up of the 8 singers who are currently in the room. So we always have different voices, and we make the best sound that we can. And we're always looking to express the pieces in the most effective way. So hopefully there's a lot of variety. And so when it comes time to our covers concerts, it really, the sound can vary a lot depending on what the music is. But we covered Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band this last year, which was really a lot of fun. And obviously the Beatles is like sort of in our wheelhouse. But yeah, it depends on the piece, and we'll get pretty grungy if we have to.
Grungy.
With the pop music. But yeah, how do you say to that?
No, I think you think Cantus is choral music, and we're experts, we're masters at choral music, but we're also really, I think, extremely flexible when it comes to different styles. I mean, that's when we're on the road doing our education outreach with students. That's one of the things that we say the most is, in order to be successful in this business, is you have to be the most flexible singer possible. And I think, the covers show in particular, that's not something I was taught how to do.
Didn't plan to do it.
Right, but just I'm singing Bohemian Rhapsody now. Okay, here it goes, and you kind of figure it out. I mean, and that's really the beauty of having that basis in classical technique. It's you have the freedom and flexibility to kind of play around and discover.
We certainly aren't perfect, but we do our best. So a couple years ago, we started doing kind of an annual collaborative concert, what we hope is an annual collaborative concert. So we invited the men of Chanticleer to Minnesota to come and sing with us at Orchestra Hall. And it was kind of a foray. I don't know if it was our first foray, but to get to be a presenter was really kind of a fun experiment. And that came about because of a viral video, which I'm sure lots of folks who follow choral music have seen, where we met Chanticleer on tour the prior year, and we sang Ave Maria, which is a kind of a classic song for both groups, definitely for Chanticleer, and one that I think Cantus was inspired by Chanticleer, and that was kind of the piece that really brought that together. So we had this big viral video. We said, hey, maybe we should have them into town. So we did, and they were really gracious. It was a blast. We had so much fun. And then the following year, we said, hey, should we do something again? And the group had been talking about, even before Chanticleer, we've programmed a lot of Sweet Honey in the Rocks music over the years, and even commissioned Isaiah Barnwell to write a piece for us, and have worked with her on a number of occasions. We really, really love what they're about, their social justice mission. And in our vision is to give voice to human experience, so that was really a nice fit.
Yeah.
And so we invited them this past fall, and they were incredibly talented, and get to see them work up close was absolutely stunning, and I think we all learned a lot.
It was exciting to see them take our music and for us to take their music
Yeah.
as well. And you know, they came up with this whole other verse to this cover of
Right.
Imagine
Right.
that we had not even imagined. I mean, it was like truly like, whoa.
Right, and the style of working, it's like they're so much even more flexible than us as far as, you think about choral music, you spend time practicing, you spend time memorizing, and the improvisational ability that they have, and to put this stuff together on such a short timeline was really astounding from our perspective, and from at least from where we are coming from as far as classical training and all these years of doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
So in the future, I don't really know where we're going to go next. We're having conversations about it. We have a list of folks that we've talked about, and maybe branching out from music altogether, and maybe finding a different artistic collaborator that isn't a vocal artist, maybe a solo artist, maybe another choral ensemble. We're really kind of brainstorming to see where we want to take it next.
I think one of the things that we value is that Cantus, by virtue of us being a chamber ensemble and having 8 co-artistic directors, means that we value input, and we value different sides of perspective of what the art is. And so I think it's not only exciting for us to introduce our home audiences to maybe a group they don't know, or maybe a group they do know, and how can we kind of mesh and change, as well as just kind of to feed our own sort of art making and give ourselves a different perspective, or a different, I don't know, view on what we're doing. It's really exciting.
Yeah, what we're doing and why.
Yeah. Well, yes.
So one of the really founding principles of Cantus, and one that sustains us and defines who we are, is this collaborative model. And we have, at this time, 3 office staff, an executive director who's really in charge of everything. He's the height of the mountain. Executive director Joe Heitz. We also have a marketing and development manager, Joey Hillesheim, and then a audience development associate, Kelsey Sieberding. And so they do all kinds of legwork for us. They're in charge. They're helping us shape vision and shape the brand. They are part of. They sit in on programming meetings. They offer suggestions. When they make administrative decisions, they look for our input. And when we make artistic decisions, we're looking for their input in what the financial implications are, and what this means for our overall direction. So I think they're a huge part of what we do. And in addition to the office staff, we also have a 20 to 24 member board of directors, and there's two singer board of directors members, and they are also meet monthly and provide a lot of support, both expertise and also hours on the ground, as far as whether that's fundraising or ideas about marketing or building home audience, and so we have a really vibrant, dynamic team.
Because we are housed or based here in the land of 10,000 choirs, as the saying goes, it's really exciting for us to be able to see what our colleagues are doing out in other kinds of fields.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. We participated in a Chorus America study a few years back, and we found out that we actually don't share as much audience with other choral groups. We actually share most of our audience with the Guthrie Theater, of all places, which is really kind of interesting and unique. And so, our programmatic model is really based around narrative. And so in our concerts, it's not often just a collection of here's some Renaissance music, or here's some late Romantic music in German. It's often, here's a story we're trying to tell, and so this music is kind of providing the sort of narrative arc to the story. And so it kind of makes sense that would happen. And I know there are other choirs that are doing that. Certainly the chorale does a Bridges project that's like that. And
yeah. And I think, I mean, really collegial, the relationship between these organizations. I mean, Philip Brunel has been gracious enough to have us to his home church in the city, Plymouth Congregational. We've sung there on his summer series a couple times, and he's been a sounding board on some things for us. Obviously, he's a huge luminary and leader in the choral community. But we also are on tour so much. You know, we're kind of different in the way that national touring is a significant part of what we do in addition to what we are doing here at home. We also give the sheer number of concerts that we give each year here in the Twin Cities is different than the other choral groups. But we certainly have a lot of respect for what they do, and we feel really lucky to be a part of this community.
Kathy Romy, who's in charge of the chorale, is one of my mentors, and Matt Mahaffey is also one of my professors and he's the Oratorio Society. So I think we all kind of cross-pollinate, and we're all happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Cantus is one of our founding principles, and sort of our mission and vision is to be sure that we're out in the community providing education to future singers and music makers and non-music makers. And so we do this thing called the High School Residency Program. We partner with 3 high schools. We try to find a suburban, an exurban, and an urban high school. And we visit their school multiple times throughout the year to work with their students, as well as provide them a free concert that we give for their school. And then at the end of the year, we bring all 3 choirs together at Festival Day, and we rehearse and together to prepare for our final concert.
Have some breakout sessions.
Have some breakout sessions about anything from nonprofit work, writing thank you notes, to conducting, to vocal
Giving
production.
Feedback, something we do all the time.
Yeah. And so we really think it's a value of us providing education, as well as having these students meet other students who may or may not be like them at all,
but share this passion for this choral art form.
So that's sort of the big outreach that we do here at home, and on the road we probably interact with, I don't know, thousands of students. I mean, it's a lot.
So when we have, let's say we're booked in Seattle, Washington to give a show, we will then, like many times, we'll meet with a local high school and go in maybe that morning or college and work with a choir. We might have them sing some pieces for us and workshop with them, or we have a thing we call a lecture demonstration where we talk about our process, and we kind of lecture, and then we also demonstrate, lecture demonstration, which is a lot of fun. But I think, it's really central to what we do, and we certainly are passionate about that, doing that outreach.
But the whole thing is that Cantus was formed from students who just wanted to sing together and make music together. And so, you know, if we can be out there showing those students what can happen, you know, through dumb luck and perseverance and hard work.
Yeah, and what are the lessons about, like, what can we learn from this art form and from this work? Not just from a professional way, but also for whoever's singing in whatever choir. What are you taking away, and how are you growing as a person? What are those skills that you can bring, even if these kids aren't planning to become professional singers? Yep. There's so many things that are important to take away from these experiences.
So we're really excited to talk about our upcoming program, which you wouldn't know based on our location right now. But For the Beauty of the Earth is a program that we're doing April 12th through the 22nd throughout the Twin Cities. And it is you know, there's all of these amazingly gorgeous texts about nature set in choral music and for our voices especially. And if you're watching this and you're not here based in the Twin Cities, we will be on the road doing our fall program, The Discovery of Sight, which talks about sightedness and all its many-facetedness, both here and here and here.
In a theater near you.
At a theater near you.
Yeah, so you can check our website at cantussings.org, and we have a robust tour schedule, so hopefully you can catch us sometime